I've got some good news about this camera. Good news. This can record for more than 25 minutes, and that when it gets to the 25-minute mark, it just goes over to another file, so it continues on, and I don't have to check the back of the camera, which is fantastic. That's a really good thing. Midnight Charlie Man Patrick, and it's the 12th of August 2024, and it's approximately close to 5 p.m. I thought, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? What can I talk about? It had been on my mind that Hollywood, and what is Hollywood like? What's it like? If you've never been to Hollywood and you want to know what Hollywood is like, what's it like? What's it like? Well, the best. It's difficult to describe a place that, put it in the words that, well, okay, because I keep thinking about Hollywood Boulevard Pass. So you've got Hollywood Boulevard, you've got La Brea, you've got Fuller. So you've got Fuller, and you go down the street to Fuller, and you've got Ralph's. You continue along Hollywood Boulevard that way toward Laurel Canyon. And it's pretty, and it's a bit exclusive, and survival, and it's kind of sharp beauty. It feels sort of like, get it done. We did it. We did it. It feels like it's a bit of a, it's a strange yet fascinating atmosphere. It's like a power, like a different world. It's it feels like survival and competitiveness at the same time. It's like it's powerful. We do it. We accomplish. And it's also, it's of its own. It's I mean, that's that section of it. I mean, that section, that's that section, and looking up at the Hollywood Hills, and it's in a sense, I wouldn't say overwhelming. I would say really interesting, like atmospheric. Going and when you're on the actual, okay, so between, just before Orange Boulevard, Orange Street, and you've got, following Orange Street toward Highland, you've got the El Capitan Theatre, and you've got Mann's Chinese Theatre, and that's where all the tourists congregate. That's where it feels the most touristy. That's where all the tourists congregate to. You get hundreds and hundreds of them, and that's where the tour vans are, and it's the side of the street where El Capitan Theatre is on. I like that. I like the El Capitan Theatre. I like that part. And the side of Mann's Chinese Theatre part, I don't walk along that side of the road. There's too many hustlers. There's just a lot of tourists on that, in that section on that street. And then getting down to Highland Avenue and Hollywood Boulevard, there's a big intersection there. And then from there on, the touristy part, well, the tourists start getting less, because the further you walk along Hollywood Boulevard toward Vine, the tourists do lessen off. For some reason, they all congregate around Mann's Chinese Theatre. They all congregate around there, and big, huge crowds of them. And then as you get down to Wilcox and Coimbra Avenue, the tourists, they have, you still get people going down there, you still get tourists down there, but it lessens off by about 50 to 60%. Because I suppose you might call them the mainstream tourists, and they congregate all around the Stars, all around Mann's Chinese Theatre. They congregate there and I'd say at least 50% of tourists don't venture away from that spot. And going down from Vine, and then Argyle, where Ramovia is, Vine, and Gower. I really like Gower, and you go up from Gower and you get to Franklin. But if you come down from Franklin and go on to Yucca, where the Hotel Hollywood is, but extending further east along Vine, you walk, and then it just becomes devoid of tourists, and you just get all locals. And it's very interesting to walk down there. And I have, in fact, what was it? It was the 210 bus stop, because it was the 210 bus stop on Sunset and Vine, which ends up going down to Imperial Avenue at Inglewood. But the atmosphere of Hollywood, well, it's a bit gritty. There's beauty there. It's gritty. You've got the locals, which are sort of it's difficult to describe them, but I would say there's Spanish there. You've got a few people on the street with ghetto glasses. There was one particular guy on the corner of Cahuenga Avenue and Hollywood Boulevard, and he has like this Apple speaker, and he has it up pretty loud, and he's playing all these 50s and 60s tunes, a bit of 80s in there, and he does that. I don't know if he gets paid for it or what it is, but he's there doing that. The crop of people are geez, how do I explain a culture which is totally different to mine in every way? The things that we embrace here in Sydney, the fashion we have, the style we have here in Sydney, the people in Hollywood, West Hollywood and Hollywood, have completely bypassed that. They've completely skipped by it. I was going to say they may have embraced it at one point, but I don't think they ever did, because with the years on television, all the years on television, every time something came up about Hollywood, I would notice that the style was very different to ours. Always noticed that the style was very different to ours. And it is. And don't think they ever embraced anything about us. I don't think anything was ever embraced, but like, for instance, I didn't see any metalheads. I didn't see any metalheads over there. Okay, I saw a couple. They didn't want to interact with me at all. One didn't want to interact with me. I met this metal guy at the Movia Records. I approached him. We got into a conversation for a couple of minutes. He was very nice to me, generous to me. He told me that Slash was playing at the Greek Theatre on July 13. The streets are... It's like everything in Sydney is framed, in a sense, framed. Like in a picture and you have a frame. And over in LA, in Hollywood, there's no frame. It's just raw. It is just raw. And well, the streets are, some of the streets are very dirty, especially in Hollywood itself. So a lot of the streets are quite dirty. And yet it's a very old town, yeah, it's a very old place. The smell is, I call it survival, the smell of survival, and there's a bit of weed in the air, and I've figured out that part of the smell is meth and crack, and geez, how to describe the smell? Survival, competitiveness, raw, bit of beauty in there, stark survival, and you can see that, you can feel that when you walk the streets of Hollywood. And I'm actually quite fond of walking along Hollywood Boulevard before Vine, and then you get up to Argyle and Wilcox and up into Highland Avenue. That is my favourite part to walk. I love walking that part. Favourite streets are Vine and Gower. I also like Cahuenga Avenue. And soon as the year hit, at night the tourists are all gone. I mean, they are gone. And in fact, at night, actually, well, I actually really like walking along between Highland and Orange Grove. I think it's called Orange Drive, up to La Brea. During the day, packed with people, we can't move, absolutely packed. And the majority of those people, even if they do extend beyond Highland itself, they might walk 2 more blocks, but that's it. That's where they call it quits. They don't go any further. But really, the best part, really interesting parts to see, you just keep walking, keep walking, and down to Sunset as well. Down to Sunset, and which is a pretty long walk actually. And then it's about another 15-minute walk down to Santa Monica Boulevard. That's a bit of a long walk. I was doing the walk, but I would end up getting the 212 bus. You can get a 212 bus from Hollywood and La Brea, past Fountain down to Sunset, and then down to there's a street in the middle of it all, I can't remember it, down to Santa Monica. And also on Sunset and I think it's Vine, or the one next to Vine is the 210 bus, which takes you all the way down to Inglewood. The reason I know that is because we left I forgot to take our international adapter. We stayed at the hotel in Inglewood and we went to see the Stones, and I left my international adapter there. The hotel made no bloody effort to contact me. The hotel made no effort to contact me. Yeah. The architecture of Hollywood Boulevard is a mixture of Spanish and Mexican style. It's a mixture of it. And it's sharp, it has beauty, it's intricate, it's exclusive, it's survival, it's competitive, it's kind of like victory. Yeah, it's a very interesting vibe and attitude. The people are I found them to be quite weird conservative. As you go really into West Hollywood and toward the whiskey, weird conservative is the best way to describe it. They really keep to themselves. The people along the street keep to themselves. They don't interact with anybody. And if they bump into you, they're like, "Sorry, sir," "Sorry, sir," "Sorry, sir." And it's I was saying things over there that I would never say here, like, "Excuse me, sir," "Thank you, sir," "Pardon me, sir," "Sorry, sir," "Excuse me, sir." Because if someone bumps, it wouldn't happen very often, but occasionally, like someone might bump into me and say, "Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, sir." And whether they're younger or older, they just say, "Sorry, sir." They have a weird conservatism about them. It's yeah. I loved being over there. Fascinating town, but the old era has now gone. It's gone. And COVID-19 had a huge impact on the town, Hollywood. Before that, things were mostly the same leading up to about 2015, I think, but after the 2015 mark, and especially when COVID-19 affected a lot of the very old businesses in Hollywood and West Hollywood, they were affected by that. Because when I was there in 1998, I don't recall there being a subway there. I don't think it was a subway. There was no subway like the B line. It was just, I was getting a bus everywhere or walking it. And to get to best way to get to Beverly Hills is, if you're on Hollywood Boulevard, just walk down to Sunset. It's a 10-minute walk. If you're not really into walking, get get the 270. Well, you can get a 217 bus along Hollywood Boulevard, and then from La Brea Avenue you can get a 212 bus. But if you're on Violet, you can get a 210. Get the 212 bus down La Brea, alight at Sunset, get a number 2 along Sunset. It'll take you through West Hollywood, past the Rainbow, and you go into Beverly Hills, and eventually get to Roxbury Drive and North Beverly Drive, and North Crescent Boulevard, and past the Beverly Hills Hotel. I recommend going into the Beverly Hills Hotel. It's really good in there. But the number 2 bus will take you down to, what is it, Figaro? I always get it wrong. Figaro. Well, Bell del Oro Road is. The number 2 bus it'll take a left when it gets to Bel Air. You're best to alight there, because otherwise you're going to end up at Westwood. And when you alight on that road, which is opposite the Charing Cross, you can get a 761 bus which will take you further along Sunset, but then it goes up to the Getty. I recommend going to the Getty Museum. It's really good. I actually recommend it. Really, really good in there. But, and Beverly Hills is almost clinical. It's very to itself, extremely, very exclusive. High hedges. You wonder what world these people live in. They live in their very own world, far away, removed from anything that I know in Sydney. And I mean, who knows what they do? But it's very sort of sharp, yet conservative, keep to themselves. There's a lot of money there. It's almost sterile in a sense. It's not, I don't know if it's warming, but it's, as in welcoming. It's a bit strange in there. It's a bit weird. It's when I was walking around Bel Air, I didn't feel a friendliness. I mean, I walked around there as though I lived somewhere. I didn't walk. There was one of the walking trips that I did there. I had a 2-hour walk around there. I didn't film very much, although I got to a particular point where I did film some of it. Look, it's I mean, Beverly Hills itself is a bit sterile. It's a bit clinical. It's the best way to describe it. It's just like feels sharp, money, competitive. We do it this way. It is this way. This is our way. It's I just think, yeah, I suppose go over there for yourself and find out what a task it is to describe the place. Sydney has nothing in common with Hollywood or Beverly Hills. I think that's why it's so fascinating to me. It's I do enjoy, but I don't need to go back there for a long time now. I only go back on business. I've had my dose. I haven't seen everything around Hollywood or West Hollywood. I haven't seen everything. I have my favourite places. Haven't been to everywhere. Haven't walked everywhere I want. Haven't walked everywhere I want to go in Beverly Hills and Bel Air specifically. But enough of it that I'm satisfied. I've walked around enough of it that I'm satisfied. Very satisfied. It's, you got your high hedges, very high hedges, and it was a bit of I thought it was a bit of a, I mean, of course I'd love to go into one of those mansions. Yes, it's, felt, a lonely feeling there. A loneliness, there's a disconnection to the outside world, another dimension, a different reality. got Hollywood. Some of the streets are dirty. A lot of the streets are dirty. I think that's what gives us a character though. And the people on the street are quite interesting. I talked to a few of them. I met a few of them. Had conversations with a few of them. Yeah. There's very much a hip-hop thing going on in Hollywood. And many of them are African Americans. And most of the store owners understood me, yet some of them either didn't want to, refused to, could understand me and just pretended they didn't understand me. Didn't want to talk to me. Some of them did want to talk to me, some of them were friendly, but some of them were like, because I went in saying a few things and they were like, and I would just make a few comments here and there, like, and yeah, yes. I think I have a bit of an attachment between Fuller and going down to Laurel Canyon because that's where we stayed for the first time on Fuller. And I walked down there a few times and it was a really good walk. First time I walked down there was in the evening, but I've actually walked down there during the day. It's quite a good walk. I think there's a speed limit there of 60, but I saw a lot of people doing 80 or 90 down there, just tearing down there on Hollywood Boulevard. And but it's changed a lot from yesteryear. It's not the same place as it was yesteryear. You know, in the golden 80s and the 90s and into the zeros. I think a lot of things changed. A lot of things changed 2015 onwards. They did, and then it's a bit of a different town now. I mean, it's not the same as it was before. It's gone through its changes. Just, yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Like Coangra Avenue, I've got a bit of an attachment to Coangra Avenue, going up to Hollywood Hills toward Universal, or going up there. I've got a bit of an attachment to that. Yeah. And the old Capitol Theatre looks pretty when it's all lit up at night. It's actually walking along there at night. There's no tourists around. They all disappear after the sun goes down. They all disappear. But during the day you can't move sometimes. Right, yeah. Okay.